Hello and welcome to this week's edition of On Report. At the start of 2014, some pundits might have told you that Castleford would spend the season looking down rather than up. As we sit here in May, their judgment has proved to be as dubious as my taste in shirts. The Tigers are firmly ensconced inside the top four of Super League and are looking forward to a Tetley's quarter-final trip to Wigan in the Challenge Cup. I'm delighted that we're joined by three kings of the Menderhose jungle: Steve Gill, Michael Shenton and Daryl Powell. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Afternoon.
Talk about expectations, Daryl. Where sort of are you as far as yours were concerned? Are you overachieving? Are you maybe underachieving? Or are you about where you thought you would be?
Well, I thought we'd be really competitive on a consistent basis, and that's proved to be the case. I didn't really have a set sort of number in my mind of where we would be on the competition ladder. I just thought we had a really good group of players who I know they'd worked exceptionally hard in pre-season, and I was confident that we'd be really competitive, and I was also confident that the depth of the squad that we'd got would help us to we'd be able to ride any sort of storms that we had in terms of injuries, and that's proved to be the case. As well as whenever a player's stepped into the team, he's done really well, and he's done the team proud. So the competition for places has really helped us. But I just think we're being competitive, and that's what I really expected.
Take us inside the squad, Michael. What is sort of the feeling in the changing rooms and in training at the moment?
Just a real positive attitude going through the club at the minute. Everyone's really enjoying the rugby. I think everyone can't wait for game day, really, just to get on the field and show what they're about and show what this team's about this year. I think every game we've kind of moved on from, we learn a lesson from it, and I think from that, we've recently come a long way. Did
it register with you and the other players that, I know pundits and predictions are a dodgy thing at the start of the year, but maybe people weren't fancying you to do as well as you are doing?
I think it's always going to be the case. I think it's something that kind of motivates you a little bit, and what Daryl's done since he's got here is he's changed the attitude of the boys and our attitude towards every day, trying to get something out of training every day, learn your lessons and things like that. So I think from that, if we keep sticking to that, I think we're going to go a long way.
Does it make your job easier, Steve? I often get the feeling it's all about actually what does happen on the pitch as far as a good business is concerned for a club. You must be having a good time behind the scenes as well as these gentlemen are performing on the pitch.
Yeah, it's crucial that obviously the performance on the field for any business, it goes hand in hand. And these guys are making it a lot easier for us, especially on the commercial side as well, which is a godsend really for us.
What sort of change then, Daryl? Michael's just alluded to you've come in and you've changed a few things. If I had to ask you to hang your hat on one major thing that you have changed that has borne this success, what would it be?
Well, the size of the squad, I think, when I looked at it from afar at the start of last season, the squad was very small. It had a lot of quality about it, and I think we've retained a lot of that quality within the squad. So I think the depth of the squad's made a big difference. But probably the thing I set about to do when I first came in was, well, it was two-pronged really, is to change the culture a little bit and get the players believing in the club and making sure that they understand what it all stands for, and to get them enjoying themselves and enjoy what you do on a day-to-day basis in practice, and enjoy when you roll out here at one of the best grounds in Rugby League, the atmosphere that creates. And the bond between the players and the fans, I think. And I think when I look at the end of a game here now and what's going on in that Sweet Caroline song, then you can see that it's come together pretty well. There's still lots of battles to be fought to make us the genuine article on all fronts, if you like. But I think we've made huge strides. I think the playing personnel have been massive in terms of what they've delivered this year so far. And they take a massive amount of credit for the way they're putting the bodies on the line on a week-to-week basis.
In the past, Castleford have maybe had supremely talented individuals. I think Rangy Chase, Joe Westerman, players of that ilk. Enigmatic individuals, Brent Sherwin, Ryan McGoldrick, players like that. Now is it more the sum rather than the parts, do you think, that you've got?
Well, yeah, I think if your sum's greater than your parts, well, that comes down to a number of things, but team spirit and everybody just doing the jobs, I think that's crucial. We've still got really good players. We've got players with good character and a real good spirit about them, but they do what's right for the team first and foremost, and obviously they have to look after themselves and make sure that their performances are good. But the team comes first, and there's a real honesty and integrity, I think, about the team and the way they're going about the business. And whenever I speak to the fans, I was at a function last night. That's what they're saying to me, that they can see that there's a real honesty and will to win about the team.
Where does this squad rank, Michael, club-wise, in the ones that you've been involved with throughout your career?
I don't know. It's a nice change, really. I'm personally really enjoying my rugby, and I think it's down to all the boys around me buying into what we're trying to create here. The culture, the pre-season is one of the best I've ever had at any club. So with that leading into the great set of lads we have got here, all enjoying each other's company and spending a lot of things like social time together. The boys want to be with each other a lot of the time. So no, I'm really enjoying it this year, and of course there's still a long way to go, but no, I think with the camaraderie we've got in this team and the boys buying into each other, enjoying each other's time and things like that, and wanting to play for each other, wanting to play for the man next year is massive. It's so important, and I think we've got that.
How pleasing as administrator is this for you to hear, Steve? Because I kind of have visions of yourself and Daryl locked in a room through the winter trying to pick out players to come in here and fill a gap there, and you seem to have got the jigsaw right.
Yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I think that's a credit to Daryl. We supported him and backed him, players he wanted, and there's some of them probably raised a few eyebrows when we signed him, but they certainly delivered the goods on the field. And again, that's credit to Daryl. And as we said, I've always said that Daryl was always the man I wanted. I believe that the ethos that he brought to Featherstone and what he brings is a complete package as a coach, and he's instilled that in the team as well. Where this team to me is probably, and I've been at Castleford a lot of time, is probably the best team that I've seen in my 10-15 years at Castleford Tigers. So yeah, I'm proud to death of them when they walk out, and again we'll live for them Sweet Caroline moments at the end of every game.
Well, we might finish with you singing a bit of Neil Diamond, we'll see. How important as well, Steve, has it been sort of, and this is just my opinion, that there's been no real distractions this year? I think perhaps in the past, and I've probably been as guilty as everybody, coming down and covering the club week in, week out, asking where's Rangy going, what's happening with Ian Millward, what's going on with the ground. Because of the success maybe on the pitch, they seem to have melted into the background, any distraction, and you're concentrating first and foremost on what goes on in the 80 minutes on a Friday night or a Sunday afternoon. Yeah,
things like that, they just drain you. They drain you mentally and physically as well, and you're dealing with them when really you need to move on, and we needed to move on as a club. And the board of directors that I put together, the commercial guys who put together, were really lucky and really thankful how they come on board with us, and they've been tremendous. So it's nice to have people who care about Cas, who are passionate about Cas, putting this club together, and we can share them moments now. Because initially, I felt as though dealing with everything, and I must admit the Rangy check, it really sapped me energy dealing with that, because first it was St George, then it was Salford, but we got through that, and I think we're better for it. Although Rangy's a marvellous player, and he's a really nice individual, and but he made his own choice of where he needed to go, and this club moved on, and the guys that have stepped in and replaced him, I think they've done a great job, and they've been really good in how we've gelled together this year. They've brought us as a team now. We probably relied a lot on Rangy in the past. We haven't had to do that this year.
How big is it, almost working through the season, that now you can pretty much sit there and say there is no danger that we're going to have to worry about finishing in 13th or 14th place? We are definitely looking up. We are looking at top 2, top of the table, whatever. How big is that for you at this stage of the season?
Yeah, well, the last thing you want to be doing is fighting tooth and nail to keep the club in Super League, and this is a pretty different year in terms of two teams being relegated. I mean, it's going to change again all next year, which is going to be interesting. But this year was obviously seen as a massively crucial one. I think all Super League clubs really put a lot of emphasis on, particularly the ones who are outside the top clubs. Obviously, put a real emphasis on this season and making sure that they got it right. So yeah, it's really important that we're in a position now that is of stability, that gives us a chance to kick on. But I suppose I'm the sort of person who never gets too carried away. I had Shenny making a quip the the other day after a game, with Daryl smiling now after we beat Warrington, I think it was. He's having a pop at me because I was pretty cranky after we'd played against Wakefield, even though we'd won. So I suppose I'm a little bit like that anyway, that I'm always wanting the boys to keep striving, and I think if I get happy and content and I start to slip a little bit, I think that'll happen to the players. So we sort of wanting to drive now what we've done. We've given ourselves a platform. It's about just taking us to the next level, and everybody in Rugby League is just looking at us thinking, when is it going to happen, and we've got to make sure it doesn't.
Go on then, dish the dirt on this cranky D Powell sat next to me. I mean, I can't believe that. Michael, is he a bit of an old curmudgeon that we don't know about?
No, he definitely keeps on his toes, and I spoke about it earlier about trying to learn a lesson from every game we play, or any mistakes or something to do good, learning from it, and Daryl's certainly massive on that. It's trying to get the best out of us and keep us on our toes, and trying to, even every training session, working on things, and I know we need that, because you can't get complacent, and that's the worst thing you can do. We know we've got to keep improving. We haven't put that perfect performance together, which is very obviously hard to do, and you probably never do it, but I think we're getting that kind of team. We've got that personnel, that culture, that we're going to keep striving for that, and that's important, that you have your top guy, your top person, obviously your head coach, he's leading the way, and we've obviously got that.
We just spoke about the relegation element of the competition. Just to broaden up, not for Cas, but for all players in Super League, has that added something extra, do you think, this season? The fact that people know that there are two teams who are not going to be dining at the top table next year, potentially?
Definitely. It's made it a bit tasty this year, I think. I don't show the ins and outs of it, to be honest. It's been made at the top, but relegation definitely puts that extra bit of pressure, and you see teams, once they're not making the top 8, I suppose, they do start looking towards next year, and it does make it not as interesting. But from the competition, we'll have to wait and see how it goes next year. I suppose it's like as it was when this franchise system came. You have to wait and see how it goes, and just make sure we learn the lessons from why we got rid of relegation. I think that's the big one, why we did end up getting rid of that, because the teams coming up really struggled. So it's how they look after these championship teams that might get promoted through this system.
I'll get both Daryl and Steve's view on this, if I may. You talk about top 8 stability. Does that make it easier to plan for next year and the year after, and so on as well? Because Castleford, it's always impressed me, has always seemed to be able to lose players, good young players. The gentleman sat next to you at one point in his career, Joe Westerman, Jordan Thompson, I could reel off a full list. But you've always got someone waiting in the wings to come through. Do you think this will help you keep your top players and also develop those younger players coming through even more so, Daryl?
If we were a stable top 8 team, without a doubt, I think, if you're a team that's perceived to be at the cutting edge of Rugby League, which we have to make ourselves, then you've got a great opportunity as well to get the better young players into your system, and then obviously to be able to retain them. And that's been an issue with the club in the past, and it's something we've got to strive hard to make sure that we can keep the better quality players at the club, and we can be a consistent top 8 team. I feel confident that we've got ourselves a really good foundation now to make that happen.
And Steve, just away from the players, new stadiums and developments and making sure that the balance books all do look very smart, is that better when you're a stable top 8 side, when you can really look to push on as a club?
I think it has to be. I think, and that's what we're aiming towards. I mean, 12 months ago today, sat here, it was a dark place, and things start to change. Little things, and 1% things that we do, they all start to add up. And we've been fortunate now with a new opportunity to move into a new stadium, and we've got other people driving that forward for us that don't sap our energies, don't sap our time, that we can let them get on with that, and just a little bit of luck here and there and everywhere which we've had, and it just all helps, and you get that momentum going and you start bouncing along, and you don't know where it's going to take you, and I don't know, it's just exciting times at Castleford at the moment in time. I'll be sad if we ever do leave this ground. I've loads of memories down here, and the atmosphere is second to none. I don't care where you go, you'll not get a better atmosphere than you get down at the jungle. But commercially we do have to move, and to make this club bigger and better than where we want it to be, we have to move so we can generate more money, and that's a sad fact. But that's one we have to take, and I think the fans realise that as well.
How pleasing is it? We talk about confounding the critics on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. I can totally empathise with Cas fans who get frustrated that there's people saying when other clubs are in trouble, Cas will be next. keep an eye on Cas. You're sort of confounding the critics on that level as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I think 12 months ago, again, we were butts of everybody's jokes, and we were every back page paper's story time, and I got a bit fed up of it, and I probably answered a few sarcastically in certain quotes, but you know, we needed help then, and they talk about the rugby league family. We needed help, and you know, we didn't get a phone call, we didn't get anything saying to us, you know what, do you want help, lads, or anything like that. So I'm pleased to say that we did everything on our own. And I've no remorse in saying that, and the reason I say that is there were people, you know, watching us, and I thought at the time they were watching us wanting to fail, they were watching us wanting to go under. So I'm proud of what board of directors have achieved, and as two commercial guys have achieved as well, in bringing stability, but also financial stability back to this club. And it's a great feeling, you know. It lifts you up on them dark days when you know where you won. You look back 12 months back, and you think, you know, we could have gone under in 24 hours, in less than that at times. And I think it all started when we brought Daryl in. Players started to play, crowds started to get back. There was a belief back in club that we wanted to go forward, and we did some little things that just always add up. The Sweet Caroline was a prime example. It got put on straight after Luke Dornett scored a last-second try against Wigan, and from then it just took hold, and it was one of them little bits of luck that you need to keep your momentum going, and that happened just like that. And you know, everybody's singing it in Cas now, they're whistling it. You can walk up into Carlton Lanes and everybody's whistling Sweet Caroline, and we want to hear it more and more. Like, you know, it'd be nice to hear it every game, but we do realise that the sport, you know, it can go and bounce at ball, it can go referee's decision, and we don't moan. We've never moaned as a club. We've just got on with it, and I think as fighting spirit here in Castleford has took us through, and you know, really proud to be part of that.
Final word with you two, if we may. Michael, you first. What do you see will be a success for you this season, both personally and also as the leader of this group down here at Castleford Tigers? I know you've had a taste of a grand final. I know you've had a taste of international recognition. Can you do both again this year?
Definitely hope so. I think it's all about short-term goals though with us, and I think that's what we've based our season around so far, is looking short-term, and obviously the long-term goals should come on the back of that if we keep reaching those, and just keep growing some belief in these players. We've had some tough times over previous years, and the job we've done and the coaches have done to turn it round and get these guys believing we can go into every game and winning it is massive, and I think we've kind of got that now. We've got that, but obviously we've got to keep working hard at it, and we've got some real stern tests coming up, and this is where we're really going to find out this season what we're about this season and how much we have learnt. And I think I'm really excited. I know the boys are, and the coaches, the club, the fans are pumped for it, and the games we've got coming up is massive. So those long term, hopefully, if I keep playing well, the good things will happen. But I think more important for me is the club and the boys keep enjoying it, and we do something special this season.
And Daryl, if we sat here again in 6 months' time, apart from probably me needing to have a coat on, what would we need to have seen on the pitch for Castleford Tigers for you not to be cranky, for you to have a smile on your face? What do you need to achieve this year?
Oh, well, you got two competitions to go after. Well, we're still doing pretty well in both. I'd like to see us maintain our standards through the season, and we're going to have to respond to some tough challenges. I'd like to see us do that really well. I think we've got good opportunities of going to the back ends of both competitions. As Shenny said, we've got some real stiff challenges coming up, but Challenge Cup's a massive one for this club and where it's been to in the past. So we'd like to think, you know, we can go into that game against Wigan when it comes around and have a real pop at them. We know it'll be difficult, and in the league we've given ourselves a great platform here, and for us to maintain our standards and be consistent. If we do that, we're not going to be too far away, and I think being in top 8 is crucial for us. People keep asking me about reassessing goals to league leaders or finishing in top 4. I just think we just maintain our standards. I think I'll be pretty happy, because I know if we do that, we won't be too far away.
We're going to adjourn to the supporters bar to do some Neil Diamond karaoke. I hope you've enjoyed it down here at the Menderhose Jungle. My thanks to Steve, Michael and Daryl. This is the first of a number of On Reports where we'll be going to different clubs across the First Utility Super League. Until the next time, thank you, goodbye and ta-ra.